Thanks for joining me. This is Danny, and welcome back to my Real Tech series. Today we are going to be getting into the Industrial Wires mod, and we're going to be playing a little bit with the control panels from Industrial Wires. More specifically, we are going to be making a control panel that is going to kind of act as a season calendar for us. So since we have Serene Seasons installed, we're going to be able to see a little bit more clearly what season it is and at what point during the season it is. Oh, and we're also going to be using it to control our air conditioning and our heating. So it's going to be pretty cool. Now, getting into Industrial Wires is not necessarily cheap. Some of the components are kind of expensive. Now, I did all the crafting off camera except for one component just because I wanted to give you a little taste of what is required. So we're going to have to make a control panel creator, which is kind of the control panel. That's where we create our control panels. It's kind of like the crafting mechanic for the control panels. So in order to do that, we do need our engineer's workbench from Immersive Engineering, because of course Industrial Wires is a mod that it's basically an add-on to Immersive Engineering that adds some compatibility with IC2, but then it also has these control panels. Now, we don't have IC2 in this pack, so obviously we're not going to be using that, but we do have to make vacuum tubes first. Oh, actually we have to do that. Okay, we have to make vacuum tubes in order to make this special little circuit board. The circuit board requires insulated glass, so you can kind of begin to see how expensive this is. Now, insulated glass, it's a couple iron, a couple glass, and some green dye. That gets us 2 of them, so we ended up with a leftover. And then it also requires this iron drill head, which is a lot of freaking iron. 2 blocks, 5 ingots. So yeah, it's a little expensive. So we're going to put the insulated glass in there, the copper plate, which of course is a piece of copper. Smashed with our hammer. There's also machines that we can use to make the copper plates too, which would save the durability on our hammer. And then 2 vacuum tubes is going to make us this special little circuit board. And we're going to put all this stuff together, along with 6 steel rods. So we're going to need 4 steel for that, and then a constantan plate. So constantan is an alloy made from copper and nickel, so not too terribly bad. I actually had a bunch on hand left over from when we made our thermoelectric generators, and there we have it. There's our control panel creator. So that's just one piece that we're going to need. I'm going to show you everything else that I've already crafted that we're going to be using for this little project. In this backpack, I have everything else that we're going to need. So that fly just pushed me. Did you see? These flies are from Vibrant. What is it called? Project Vibrant. Stop flying around so I can see you. Vibrant Journeys. It's actually a pretty cool mod. It's got a lot of things. I added it to the pack recently. But these flies, they're interesting and they're fun and they kind of add some realism, but they do kind of get annoying when they get in the house because you keep hearing them buzz. So I have to run around and swat them. Of course, they only take 1 hit because they're flies, you know. So yeah, that takes care of that. Anyway, so we need 4 season sensors from Serene Seasons, which is season clock and blah, blah, blah. We need 4 redstone repeaters from Vanilla Minecraft. We need from Immersive Engineering, I think we actually only need 6 wire connectors, but they come in pairs of 4. And I used 1 for something else. We need a few redstone wire coils. I think, again, we only need 6, but they come in pairs of 4. And then the control panel the control panel creator that we just made. We're going to need an unfinished control panel. Now, I made a couple of these, just in case we screw up on the first one. And it's made like so. It's iron and copper. And then a redstone controller. So that's what I used one of the connectors for. This actually requires a panel connector, which requires an unfinished control panel. So like I said, these materials, they add up. This ended up being a lot of iron, a fair amount of redstone, and then some panel connectors. We may or may not need those depending on how we set this up. And then we need these are basically components for the control panel. And we'll get into how all this stuff works, of course, as we get into this project. We need 4 indicator lights, 2 lighted buttons, and 1 panel meter. And I've got that all in this backpack, and we're going to pick that up and we're going to bring it downstairs in the basement. I've got a basement now, a partially finished basement. It's not quite done yet. And then we're going to need a 5x5 area, and I think I'm going to do this right over here. Okay, so let's get started setting this up. So first of all, I'm going to take my 4 season sensors, and I'm going to place them in kind of 4 corners. So actually at the center of this, we're going to have a block of some kind. I'm just going to put, actually, you know what, I'll put, whatever. I'm just going to put a cobblestone block. 3, it's going to be right at the center. So like I said, this is going to be a 5x5 area. So we're going to have 1 season sensor going 2 blocks out on each side. And when we place these down, they are set to spring, I believe that is. So we're going to set 1 to summer. We're going to set 1 to autumn. And we're going to set 1 to winter. So we have winter, spring, summer, autumn, or fall, depending on where you're from. And then we are going to run some redstone. Oh, that was one thing I forgot to mention. Going into this block in the center. So what the season sensor does is it's going to give us a redstone signal if it is its season. So in this case, this is autumn. This is the autumn season sensor. And it has a redstone strength of 10, meaning that we are 10/15ths into autumn. So it's going to go from 0 to 15, or actually 1 to 15, 1 at the beginning of autumn, 15 at the end of autumn, and then when we go on to the first day of winter, this one will shut off, this signal will go back to 0, and then the winter one will be 1. So that's how this is going to work. So the redstone strength tells us at what point in the season we are, and whether or not we have a redstone signal is going to tell us which season we're at. So then what I want to do is I want to grab my repeaters, and I want to place one facing away from each one of these. And then of course what this will do is it will give us a full signal based on which season it is. So now that it's autumn, this particular block has a full signal because of course we gave it a redstone repeater. So now we're going to take our redstone wire connectors and we're going to put one on each of these blocks. Okay, so then what's going to happen is this one in the center is going to get basically the analog signal. So this one will tell us this block will be powered by whatever day within whatever season we're in. So right now it has a power of 10 because we're 10/15ths into August, or into autumn. And these ones will get a digital signal basically, so either 0 or 15 based on what season it is. So this is the autumn block. This wire connector will get a signal in autumn, a full signal. So then we're going to take our engineer's hammer and we're going to set, these are all, so the redstone connectors in immersive engineering, they're either set to input or output. You right click to change from input to output and you can see the color changes like all the other immersive engineering stuff. Orange is output, green is, or actually bluish green is input. We want these all to input because we're inputting into the connector. But we want to use different colors. So you can see that the channel is white. We want to use, so I'm going to actually start with winter. If we hold down the shift key, it'll toggle through the colors. So we want this one to be orange. And it doesn't really matter what colors we use. That's going to be magenta. As long as they all are on different colors. That's going to be light blue. And that one is going to be yellow. Oh, actually, you know what? This one we can leave at white. I'm going to leave this one at white. Okay, so that one's white. And then I'm also... So this is all the redstone that we need in order to detect what season it is and where we are in the season. And we're going to take those redstone signals and we're going to bring them somewhere else. So then I'm going to grab my last 2 redstone wire connectors on a somewhat related but slightly different note. I have above this, I have actually I'll show you. I have cooling coils and heating coils. So that's basically our heating and our cooling. So this is the cooling coil, that's the heating coil. We're going to turn these on and off with our control panel. So not only will we be able to see what season it is, but we'll also be able to turn on the heat if it's winter and turn on the air conditioning if it's summer from our control panel. So I'm going to place those up there, and these guys are going to be outputting redstone. So we're going to grab our hammer, and we're going to set these both to output, And I'm going to change the channel to ones that we're not using yet. So we're using yellow for that. Okay. So this was the cooling coil up here. So the cooling coil is going to be lime. And the heater is going to be pink. So there we are. So now we're going to take our Redstone controller from industrial wires. So we're actually going to get started with industrial wires now. Kind of thinking that I want to figure out where we're going to set up our control panel first. So the control panel is this guy, the unfinished control panel. This is the thing that we actually place in the world that's going to have all of our stuff on it. All our buttons and whatever. And we can configure this thing in many different ways. So what we're going to do is, first of all, if we put it in an engineer's workbench, we can change the shape of it. Oh, it's very foggy. Must be morning. Oh yeah, sunrise. We were out there, we were down there all night working on this project. Okay, yeah, whatever. Okay, so in the engineer's workbench, if we put that in place of the blueprint, it gives us these different options. So we can change how thick it is. We can change the angle. Okay, why is that not working? Oh, okay. We can change the angle. We can get it to be as much as a slab. So then our buttons will be here for us to access. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to make it a full block because of where I want to put it. It's just going to make the most sense. And we're going to change the angle to 50%. This is percent, by the way, not degrees. I was confused by that at first. So 100% is 45 degrees. And then we're going to build our control panel. So ultimately what we're going to do down here, this is kind of a clunky way to the basement, is actually first we'll just place our control panel creator down here. So we can place our control panel in there, and then we can take these guys and place them on the control panel. Okay, so first of all, we have these indicator lights. So on the control panel, these are going to be lights that are going to be on and off based on a redstone signal. And I have so much crap in my inventory. Okay. 1 second. So I cleaned up my inventory a little. I'm going to need a little bit of space because I'm going to have to separate these so that we can change them, set them to different things. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect all these things using redstone wires. And then we're going to connect them to basically the industrial wires control panel network. And then it will have access to all of these redstone signals based on their colors or whatnot. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up 4 indicator lights, which will basically light up when their respective redstone signal is activated. So it's going to be, so the 4 indicator lights are going to tell us what season it is. So we're going to have one for winter, spring, summer, and fall. And they're obviously going to be looking at the colors. So remember, winter was orange. So if this one is our winter one, we're going to set it to orange. And how bright it is going to be based on the strength of the redstone signal. So that's why I'm using repeaters to basically give us a full redstone signal so that we get full brightness. And I better drink some water or I'm going to start taking damage soon. So this is winter, spring, blue was summer, light blue I believe, and yellow was fall, if you remember. So now we go in here and we can set these anywhere we want to on our control panel. So this is what our control panel is going to look like. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to snap to a grid. So that they're lined up nicely. There's actually 3 different options here. You can have it snap to other components. So once you place something, then everything you place after that will then line up with those components. Or you can have it snap, or you can allow free placing so that you can put it anywhere. Or you can do snap to grid, which will snap to a grid, obviously. So there's our 4. So that should be spring, summer, autumn, and fall. I mean, spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And then we're going to take our labels and we're going to set up the labels for the seasons. So this is winter, and I'm actually going to bring these all to 100% so that it's a fully, well, maybe not quite. We'll do a little bit gray, like maybe 85. Okay. Winter. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do that with all of them. So 85%. Wait, am I thinking about this backwards? Is that going to make it more white? I actually want it more dark. Yeah, it does make it more white. I actually want this to be dark. So I want it to be like maybe 10%. So it should be like a dark gray, almost black. Okay, so then we place these the same way. We actually, every time it always does allow free placement, so we have to snap to grid again. And actually, I don't want to snap to grid. I want to snap to other components now because we have those and I want them to be lined up with them. So spring. It's actually ended up at 9%. That's interesting. Summer. And I'm actually going to say fall, just so it doesn't take up as much space. And now I'm going to say snap to other components because then we can line it up with both winter and... Oh, it still doesn't line up with that button very well, does it? Oh well, I guess we'll just have them all slightly above. There! So now we already have it telling us which season it is. So then what I want to do is I want to take this panel meter. Now a panel meter is it looks like a meter. So it has like a pointer that points based on how strong a redstone signal strength is. So we're going to be using this signal, the white signal, which is going to tell us what point within the season we are. And it's going to be white on channel whatever. It would be channel 0. That's actually, it's the ID of the redstone controller. The redstone controller has an ID. This is going to be set to -0 because we don't have a second signal. We're going to use the wide format, which is going to make this thing slightly wider. And then we're going to stick this right there. So then that is going to tell us at what point within the season we are. I feel like... Okay, that's good. Okay, so then I'm going to take 2 more labels, and we're going to label 1 AC for air conditioning, and 1 heat. So this is going to be for our heating coils and cooling coils, which are up here. So the air conditioning or the cooling coil was that greenish color, whatever that is. Let's see. Lime, and the heat is pink. So I'm going to throw these down here. Air conditioning and heat. And then we're going to throw 2 buttons down there. So we have these 2 buttons. And these are, they work just like regular buttons. We can set them to latching, which basically makes it a lever instead of a button. And we're going to set one to lime. That's the air conditioning. So actually, let's make that blue. And then this one we're going to set to pink, or whatever that color that is, and that one's going to be red. Both of these are set to latching. So there's that. Why can I not set this here? Oh, you know what? I can't put buttons on here because we made this thing too thick. So something to note, if a control panel is a full block, you cannot put buttons on it. So we have to make it slightly smaller than a full block because there's no room for the buttons if the control panel is taking up the entire block space. So we've got to run back to our engineer's workbench, and I'm just going to set this to like 90% so that there's enough room for the buttons. So it's not going to be quite a full block. Okay, so now we can throw our heat button here and the air conditioning button there. Okay, let me get a little bit of snapping here. Try to center that with, come on, you can do it. And then raise it up. And then we'll center this with the heat. There we go. There, it's all done. So now we can make a control panel out of this. Now, a couple things to note is once you make a control panel, you can't unmake it. I mean, you can, but you're going to lose the control panel itself. You won't lose the components. So we create a control panel, grabs all those components and it puts it on the control panel. If we disassemble this panel, oh, come on, really? If we disassemble this panel, we'll get all the parts back, but we won't get the panel itself back. So that's actually why I made a couple of these, just in case we needed another one. So I gotta go kill some raiders, and then we'll get this set up. So you can place these guys down like this, and the control panel will be facing up. If you had one that was angled, then it would be angled toward you, which is kind of nice. In my case, or in this case, I wanted it up against the wall. Oh, what? That was weird. So more raiders came? That message was an error. Okay, so I'm going to place that there. And then what I'm going to do down here is I'm going to break this block. And put... So these guys act like wires, basically. So we can like place a bunch of these, and then they'll be a part of that network. And then if we put this redstone controller down there, those all will be part of the same network. We don't really need that. We could theoretically just put the redstone controller right up against the control panel, and that would work too. That used to not be the case, but it does work that way now. However, it won't reach these guys if I do that. So now I'm gonna just basically connect all these redstone connectors. Actually, these guys I'll just connect to the center one. Just because it looks cleaner that way. Oh, wait. Oh, right, we can only attach one wire here. Okay, so now they're all set up, so now everything should... Hooray! Look at this. It is fall, and we are that far into fall. So this little lever is our calendar, basically. It's going to go from here to here. Once it hits 15, then we will be heading into winter. Nice! And then here's our buttons. We can turn on our air conditioning if we wanted to. And that turns that guy on, our cooling coils. And we can turn that off, and then we can turn on the heat, which turns on our heating coil. Nice! So there it is. Project is done. Hooray! So if you have any questions about industrial wires or anything else, Serene Seasons or anything else that we played around with today, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Or if you have any ideas or just want to say hi or whatever, feel free. And if you did enjoy this, don't forget to click the like button and to join me next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.